What is up, everybody? Ken here from Mid-Level Media, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And I wanted to talk about one of Scream Factory's latest 4K releases. This one just came out last week, LIFEFORCE, directed by Tobe Hooper. So I am really excited to get into this one. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the movie, then we're going to dive into some of the technical specs and also talk about the special features, and I'll do a little bit of an unboxing for you guys as well and just paint an overall picture of whether or not this is worth you guys picking up. But before we get into it, I have to ask, if you are not yet a subscriber to the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? Do you like 4Ks? Do you like Blu-rays? Do you like all this stuff behind me? Do you like owning the movies that you love? If the answer to all those questions is yes, hit the subscribe button. I do tons of physical media related content on this channel every single day, and you will definitely enjoy it. Also, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below. I want to know, what's your thoughts on LIFEFORCE, this Tobe Hooper horror film? Tobe Hooper's got a lot of horror films in his filmography, and this is one that I don't feel like a lot of people really talk about. It was definitely one that I have slept on for quite a long time. Let me know all that in the comments section below, and then turn on those bell notifications. You got to turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. So look, real quick, I don't want this to be too long. It probably will. I'm very long-winded, but this was a movie that came out the year I was born, 1985. A lot of great horror films in 1985, and this was one I've heard about. So I watched this one. I tried to watch like a part of it a couple of years ago. I think it was on Amazon Prime. It might still be on Amazon Prime, to be honest. So tried watching it on there. I liked it, but for whatever reason, I went to bed and I just never picked it back up. But I do remember, the opening with the naked vampire lady. Mathilda May is her name. I think in the credits they call her Space Girl, I believe. I saw the ending credits, but Mathilda May, we're going to get to her. We're going to talk about her. But this is a really interesting movie. Like I said, directed by Tobe Hooper. It is based on the novel The Space Vampires, and the book was from 1976, so it took 9 years for them to adapt this one. Screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, which, if you don't know Dan O'Bannon, he also was a writer on the Alien film, Ridley Scott's Alien from 1979. And he also directed Return of the Living Dead, which actually came out the exact same year as LIFEFORCE, 1985. Like I said, 1985 was a killer year for horror movies. And also Dan Jacoby wrote it with him. They co-wrote it together. But it's an interesting movie. It's science fiction, it's horror, it's a lot of different things rolled into one. There's parts of this movie that kind of feel, it's kind of like a plague movie, like a virus type movie is the way that they treat it. There's certain points in this movie just with the London setting and just the overall aesthetic and vibe. I was getting some 28 Days Later vibes with this movie. But it's a good movie. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's not one that I would call great, but it is one that I will appreciate returning to. Just a really cool setup and premise. You have the astronauts in space. I love horror movies in space. I love Alien, of course. Event Horizon's one of my favorites. I was always super excited when the horror villains would go to space, Critters in space, Leprechaun in space, Jason X, all that stuff. So I like space and horror. I just feel like it goes together really, really well. So the opening of this movie is awesome. They're in space. They stumble upon this, space station. They're investigating or doing research on Halley's Comet. And they board the space station and they find a bunch of these, the design work on the creatures in this is absolutely phenomenal. The vampire creatures that they find in there that are dead and just floating in space inside this ship. It's super haunting and chilling, and it's really awesome. And you expect one of them to jump out, but they never do. So I applaud them for showing restraint there, because I feel like a cheaper horror movie would have used that for a jump scare or something. And then they find these 3 naked bodies. There's 2 men, there's 1 girl. They take them aboard their ship, or it's implied that they're taking them back for research, and then they cut to the Earth. I love the way that this kind of transitions, because I even had to rewind it because I wasn't sure what was going on. But basically, once you see that they're taking the bodies, it goes to the Earth, and then it's they lost contact with the space station, and then all of a sudden it reappears. It's kind of like Event Horizon when that ship comes back. So apparently it's been lost for a little bit. It reappears, and they go aboard it. And they find, the naked people and stuff, and they take those to Earth. So basically, they don't show it, but the aliens, life forms, not Life Force, that's the title of the movie. The alien life forms take over the ship at some point during that time. You don't see it, but they take over and kill everybody. I think they go back and, show it in a flashback a little bit later on when the main character is telling them what happened. But they find him later on as well. So after that, you know, they take him down for research, and then they start killing people, and then they start turning them into vampires. But it's an interesting way, because they are space vampires, like that's what they are, but they're not like blood-sucking space vampires. Like they are taking people's life force out of them, and it's done through like electricity. Like she'll go up to them and she'll hold their face, and you can see like the electric transmissions like going from them to her, and it's like it just implied she's sucking. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like Hocus Pocus when they're like sucking the life force out of them as well. So it's not like she's like biting their necks and stuff. So it's a vampire story, but it's not like a traditional type vampire story in that sense. So it's actually really cool and just feels really original. Let's talk about Mathilda May, who is the highlight here. I'll be honest, she's the real highlight. She's a very you know, stunning young lady in this film. I think she was only like 20 years old when this movie was made. I was looking at her age on IMDb because she has a special feature here, which I think was filmed in like 2013 when this Blu-ray came out. But not only is she stunning and beautiful, but she's really good in this role. Like her performance is really good and creepy and menacing as well. And it's like you're watching her move and you're attracted to her, of course. Like how could you not be? But at the same time, you're a little creeped out. You're a little bit unsettled by her and just the way she moves through the hallways and walks up the steps. It's almost kind of like the Terminator. It's like Terminator-esque the way she walks and stuff. It's just like nothing really phases her. She has her mission and she's going to accomplish it. So I think Mathilda May is definitely the highlight here as far as like the looks. And then as far as the performance, I think she's the best performance in the entire movie, which is saying a lot because you got Sir Patrick Stewart in this film as well. But I think she's great in the film. And, you know, her walking around topless for like half the movie, I think definitely adds to the cinematic value as well. But yeah, she's absolutely fantastic in this movie. But like I said, cool little story. The makeup effects in this are phenomenal. Like I said, it came out, I don't know if the same, I didn't look up who did the makeup effects or anything. Maybe I can find that out right here. John Dykstra did the makeup effects, which I'm going to have to look him up. The name sounds familiar. I don't know what else he worked on, but the makeup effects really reminded me of Return of the Living Dead, just the way that they did them. You know, zombie type makeup, but like when she sucks the life force out of them, their skin like deflates and it looks kind of like rotted and almost burnt and stuff, and just the way that their faces look like, and they start to move around and stuff on the table. Like you can tell it's some kind of animatronic. It reminded me of that half corpse in Return of the Living Dead when they were moving around on the table. So just some really cool effects work, some great makeup effects, just some cool special effects that honestly still look pretty good in 4K. Like you have a lot of lightning effects and stuff like that in this movie, and I thought they all looked pretty good still in 4K. You know, and this movie had a pretty high budget at the time, and I think that does show. I don't really know what they were thinking with that high of a budget. I don't know how well they thought this movie was going to do, because it was budgeted at $25 million is what this movie cost to make, and it only made $11.6 million in the United States. And I was looking towards it because somebody mentioned in the special features that they thought it did better in like Britain and stuff. So I looked at the box office mojo, and they didn't have any foreign box office for this movie. So I don't know if it wasn't reported or what was going on there, but 11.6 million in the United States. So didn't even make 50% of the budget. So that it classifies as a bomb. And pretty much in Hollywood's books and my book and anybody's book, that's a bomb. So this movie absolutely bombed at the box office, but it looks really great, and hopefully this one grew an audience in home video and stuff afterwards and actually ended up making its money back. Just a lot of really interesting science fiction themes in this movie that I don't feel like I've seen a lot of before. So I would even go as far as to say, like, yes, this is a horror movie, but I feel like it's way more of a science fiction film than it actually is a horror film, even though there are some gore sequences and stuff in this movie as well. But space vampires, really cool concept. I enjoyed the movie. The score by Henry Mancini is really great. It's really loud and bombastic and epic. Just gives you that old school science fiction vibes. That's what I'm talking about. Like, just everything about this movie just feels very science fiction, and it is a horror movie, but it also just feels way more science fiction. Camera work here is excellent, like very effective. Some really inventive and stylish shots. Like you have a lot of like you know, like beneath looking up shots of like people. Like the camera work is really cool throughout the movie. But yeah, ended up enjoying this movie quite a bit. The story went some cool directions. You know, it's a little cheesy, a little over the top in some sequences. My main problem with the movie, I would say overall, is the movie takes itself extremely seriously. And there's a lot of goofy stuff throughout the film that I feel like they could have played with and had a little bit more fun with, which, you know, I think it worked with Mathilda May. I think that having her be that menacing villain worked, but with some of the other characters, like, they could have livened things up a little bit. This is played very straightforward and very serious throughout most of this film. But overall, as a score, I'll give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. Let's get into the transfer. This is a Blu-ray release that came out in 2013, and then it came out in 2014 as well. I guess Scream Factory re-released it. So the 2013 and the 2014 versions were 2K scans, and then they came out with a 4K remaster in the Steelbook form, and that came out in 2018. So this has had 3 previous releases from Scream Factory, 2 Blu-rays, a Steelbook, and now this 4K coming out in 2022. And this 4K release has Dolby Vision. It has Atmos as well, Dolby Atmos. So they went the full works with this one, including all the bells and whistles for this release. And I definitely think if you have that full sound system Atmos setup, it's gonna sound absolutely amazing. Like I said, this is like a space movie. It has all those space sequences and stuff, some explosions and some things that happen. There's a lot of stuff that breaks out on land as well. Some war type sequences, people rioting in the streets, guns going off and stuff. So I have to imagine it would sound absolutely incredible, but visually, this looks really great. Looks really great. There's a lot of colors in this movie, a lot of cool colors. You can see on the back, Mathilda Lutz, like, she's in blue through a lot of this movie. Like, there's just a lot of like beams of light shining down and stuff. All the space sequences look great. Like, I haven't seen space, space stations and things like that look this good in 4K since 2001: A Space Odyssey, since I watched that. So that's pretty high praise. It's a great movie as well. So all the space stuff just looks so good. In 4K, just looks super clean and crisp and pristine in the 4K format. So highly recommend this transfer. I can't see how anybody could have anything bad to say about the transfer. I think it's absolutely immaculate. All the facial detail and the skin. I don't want to go back to Mathilda Lutz again, but the skin detail on the topless scenes of Mathilda Lutz really shine in that 4K format. It's also got a lot of great special features as well. Like I said, an interview with Mathilda Lutz. It's got an interview with Tobe Hooper, which, rest in peace, Tobe Hooper. He died in 2017. That interview was conducted in 2013 for the initial Blu-ray release. So nothing new with this set. These are all old special features from the previous set. You do have commentaries as well with Tobe Hooper. You have an audio commentary with the makeup effects designer. You have an interview with the actor Steve Railsback, who plays the lead character in this movie. So yeah, just some really great special features. This does include the director's cut as well. So I forgot to mention that. It has a theatrical cut, which is the one I watched, because the theatrical cut is the only cut that's available on 4K, and then it has the theatrical cut on the Blu-ray, and then it has the director's cut on the Blu-ray, which I did not watch the director's cut. I didn't really look up the differences. But yeah, the director's cut is a whole nother 15 minutes. So that there's a lot of extra stuff on that. I'm definitely going to have to get to that director's cut someday. So overall, yeah, like I said, 3-disc set right here. I can do a little bit of an unboxing. I do like this trend of Scream Factory using their old poster artwork. I think that works quite well. And yeah, at the end of the day, look, we got the slipcover. You got all the special features and stuff. I think this is a great release from Scream Factory. One I would absolutely recommend that you guys go out and pick up. As an actual release itself, I would give this one pretty high praise. I would give it a 4 out of a 5. Again, I think the movie is really good. The transfer is awesome. The sound, it's got Dolby Atmos. It is lacking for me in special features, because I just always appreciated people that add extra stuff with the 4K releases. And when you don't, I just don't really think that's adding anything. Again, they were all new to me because I don't own the Blu-ray of LifeForce, but for people to upgrade to 4K, they kind of need that little bit extra push. So I do want to call the Scream Factory to start adding in some extra features with these upgraded releases, like Candyman did, which I don't know if I'll get to review that one or not, but that added an extra special feature as well. So, but yeah, as an overall release, I'll give this one a 4 out of a 5. I do recommend that you pick it up. It is currently $27.99 on Amazon, and I think it's absolutely worth it. So thank you all for watching this review of LifeForce on 4K. I really appreciate it. Please, in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts on this film are. Let me know if you're going to pick it up based on my recommendation. I will be leaving the link for purchase in the description below. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.